Good morning. Good morning, you guys, and welcome to 31 Days of Walking in Wisdom. It is day 12, and I'm going to try to share. Y'all, I haven't been sharing like I should. Okay, so I'm going to share really quick, then we'll get started. All right, so happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Y'all made it. Y'all made it. Good morning. Good morning, Chanel. Chanel, you are so faithful on YouTube. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for placing our affirmation in. I walk in the wisdom of the Lord. Thank you, you guys. Good morning, Kesia. I know I'm a couple of minutes late, y'all. I was trying to find my book. I hid my book from myself. Went upstairs, downstairs, and it was beside my bed. All right, so hi, Grand. Y'all are on here this morning. Y'all, that pivot, I was telling Honey about that last night when we got off. He was like, y'all finally off? I was like, that thing was so good. They ministered to me. So you guys did amazing last night, High Ground. I want to celebrate my mentorship. Whoop, whoop. You guys did amazing last night. It was so great to hear you guys use your voice and your revelation, just to minister and release what God has given you out of your mouth. It was so amazing. My community rocks. You hear me? Mm, my community rocks. All right. Good morning, Tiffany. Good morning. I walk in the wisdom of the Lord. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. The pivot was amazing. All right. Good morning, Ty. All right, y'all. We are in day 12. Go ahead and get your books, and we're gonna start with the virtuous woman. The virtuous woman in day 12. All right. So today, of course, we want to talk about the virtuous woman has influence. Our scripture today comes from Proverbs 12:4, and it says, "A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she who makes him ashamed is rotten to his bones." So, what it's saying here is a virtuous woman, not just any woman, but a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. In other words, she is the prize. She is the reward of her husband. And so when we think about the woman being the reward or the prize, we have to make sure that that's our posture, that's our position, and that's our perspective about who we are. Um, when you think about the prize or the person that receives the prize, they handle the prize like such, like something that they were rewarded with, like something that they were given as a gift. And so I try to always say this, and I remind my husband of this all the time, that the woman is the prize because God gave the woman to the man. But when God gives a virtuous woman to a man, he receives a reward. He receives something that's worth more than money, that's worth more than an ordinary gift, an ordinary thing. She is a prize and a reward. Okay. So let's talk about virtuous, um, because today it's all about, a virtuous woman. And I always talk about virtuous influence. You have the ear. In other words, influence means you have the ear of somebody, but virtuous means godly. And so I use my godly wisdom because I have the ear of someone else. And so, whether it be your coworker, whether it be your children, your husband, we need to make sure that when we have someone's ear and we have influence on someone, that we use it in a godly way. And so, virtuous also means showing high standards and right thinking. She is um in a position to make sure that she steers a person to be better and not bitter. So when a person meets a virtuous woman, a godly woman, when you meet a woman with high standards, and y'all, I want y'all to put this in the comments. I will not apologize because I have high standards. Let's talk about it real quick. Let's talk about it real quick. I want you guys to never apologize because you have high standards. Whether that high standard means people cannot connect to you as easily, you're selective about the people that you allow in your personal space because you understand what they're getting. They're getting a reward and a crown and a prize. And people that don't know how to handle the prize or they don't see you as a prize, they don't get access. Mm. I need my amen corner. I said the people that don't know and don't handle you like a prize, they don't get access. They don't get access because when people don't see you as a reward or a prize, they mishandle you. They mishandle the relationship. They mishandle um, the gift. They don't even use you for what you bring. Y'all, they don't even tap into the benefit of what they've received. It's just like a kid that doesn't understand the sacrifice and the the power of what you've given them, and they throw it in the corner that without even understanding uh, the ins, the outs, the power, the operation of a thing, right? And your love and your effort behind giving it to them. And I think sometimes when we're in relationship, whether it's a physical, an intimate relationship, or an emotional relationship with the same sex, if you have people around you that don't value you as a reward or a prize, and they don't know what you offer them, they have no idea what you bring to the table, they usually mishandle you. Let's just let that sit for a minute. Let's just let that sit for a minute. When people don't see you through correct lenses, when they don't see you and the God that's in you, they mishandle you. And that is an indicator for you to exit stage because, or to limit the relationship. Because I've been in places where people recognized who I was without me speaking it because they honored the God in me, right? They honored the gift that was on the inside of me. And then there were places and people that didn't. And what I learned to do was go where the love was. I'm going to say, I learned to go where the love was. I learned the hard way. And many of you are probably, you probably already, on the other side of this. But just in case you are not, go where the love is. Go where people recognize you, who you are, and they honor you as such, as who you are. Don't spend a lot of time around people, even if they're family, that that put you down, that ridicule you, that make you feel bad about yourself, that don't honor you as the person you are, that's always trying to convince you that you're not who you say you are. Y'all better understand, because people will, when they don't want to see who you are, they will try to convince you that you're not who you are, or they'll try to treat you opposite of who you are to make you feel like you're not that person because of how they treat you. But we have to take a stand, and we have to do that by surrounding ourselves with people that see our value. Okay. One of the things about about mindset and purpose for me is the first thing that I always um, try to ask a person is, do you understand your vision, your voice, and your value? Because if you understand your vision, your voice, and your value, you'll walk in purpose. Because there's so many women, there's so many people in general, whether it's a woman, a man, they have not discovered their voice, their vision, nor their value. And a virtuous woman knows she has all three and she knows what they are. And so if you are not acquainted with your vision, your voice, and your value, that's a recipe for you to be in broken relationships. It's an indicator that you will devalue and dumb yourself down in the presence of people that don't honor you, that mishandle you, and I learned that the hard way, that it was nothing wrong with me wanting to be or expecting to be treated like a prize, like who I was. So we're going to go where the love is. Okay. We're going to go where the love is. Now, when I say go where the love is, I don't know if you guys get my emails. If y'all get my emails, put some fire emoji in the comments. When I tell you, I told this story in my email the other day. This past weekend, I really had a moment where I grieved for my dad. I don't know what triggered it, but I grieved my dad. I just, was just in this place. And I'm the type of person that when I feel it, I have to deal with it. And this is a strategy for y'all. Those of you that's never been coached by me, you know that you have some bottled up emotions. When you feel it, you've got to give yourself permission to deal with it. Okay. And so when I, feel something, whether I feel, sad, happy, um, whatever, the confused, conflicted, I make it a point to deal with it right then. Okay. And so I felt like this past weekend, I just felt like, oh, you know, I just felt sad. I cried. I felt, a little depressed. Like I didn't, and at first I didn't know why. And then I realized, okay, I'm missing my dad. I'm missing, you know, some key components of my life that I'm accustomed to having there. And I realized that I had to get to a nest. I had to get to a nest. And I don't know if you guys have nests, but we talked about this last night in my mentorship, and everybody needs a nest. Everybody needs a nest. It is a place that you are fed. It's a place that you can be replenished and be your wounds can be patched up, and you can be encouraged, and you can be equipped. But you need to recognize that if you don't have a nest, what do you do when times get hard and you can't encourage yourself? What do you do when life becomes life for real? It life be lifing, and you have no place of refuge. You have no place to refuel you. And so I realized that I had to get to my nest. And one of my nests, I have several nests, but my dad was a place that brought me laughter. I called my dad. My dad would make me laugh. Child, somebody could have fired me. And I talked to my daddy, and my daddy would be like, "Child, it ain't," he find a way to make me laugh and to make me feel like that's nothing, because maybe you forgot who you are. Like that's their issue. And so because he was my laughter, he was my nest of laughter. Y'all, this is so good. I want y'all to identify your nest. You may have several nests, but you need to know when you need a certain thing to go to that certain nest, right? And so I realized, okay, my laughter nest is gone. And I think it depressed me a little bit. It made me feel a little alone. It made me feel a little awkward. I felt sadness, because I couldn't call him and, and talk to this person that doesn't take anything seriously. And so I I kind of got sad over that. And then just the fact that I couldn't, I can't talk to him anymore because he's not here. But instantly, when I got ready for church, I was headed to my church. And instantly, the Lord spoke to me and told me, no, you're going to go over here to your spiritual mom's church. That's where you're going. You're going over here, honey. I couldn't even get in the parking lot of my church, the church that I attend. I had to take a U-turn and then go to my spiritual mom's church. And I sent her a message and I said, I'm not going to sit up front. I don't want to be recognized. I just want to come in and soak up the word and leave. I really, I'm just in one of those places today. So I sat on the back next to the last pew. And as soon as I got there, y'all, I took one deep breath, one deep inhale. And when I exhaled, tears just started rolling down my face. Like I needed to be in that nest. That nest for me was purity. I needed a pure word, and I needed to be around people that I could trust to give me a pure word, whether it was correction, whether it was direction, whether it was instruction. I had to go to an apostolic house, a prophetic house, because I needed my prophetic mantle built. I needed to be around people that were stronger than me, but also if they had a word for me, they would give it. I needed to be at the nest, and everybody needs a nest. And when you are a nest for someone and you use that nest to make people better, not bitter, you don't take what they say and make it worse. You become a virtuous influencer, because when someone comes to you and they're suffering, you shouldn't make it worse by saying, girl, because I could have told you that. And, I told you so. I told you, and all of this, and I could have told you. No, 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 no. When a person leaves you, they should be better than how you found them. That's what a virtuous woman does. That's what a virtuous influencer does. She leaves you better than how she found you. So good, y'all. Those who have the privilege of being in her life should be grateful and see positive change take place because of their relationship. Woman, you are a reward. Make sure you are treated as such. You have the power to influence. And I'm going to give you guys the definition, another definition of influence: the ability to affect one's character, development, and behavior. You have the power when someone comes to you to change and affect their behavior, their development, their character, and their perspective. And it's your job as a godly woman to be virtuous, to be virtuous. Okay. Virtuous women bring life. She seeks prudence and the correct way to handle every situation. And so she only has to deal with it one time. Y'all, that's so good. A virtuous influencer, a virtuous woman deals with something the right way because she only wants to deal with it one time. Y'all, ooh, I don't know if y'all caught that. I don't know if y'all caught that. Did y'all catch that? When you do it right the first time, you only have to deal with it once. You don't have to retract. You don't have to have a rebuttal. You don't have to call back and change what you said. You don't have to correct it. When you open up your mouth with prudence and virtue and godly standards and right thinking and godly wisdom and the word of God, you only have to do it once. Why? Because you do it right the first time. And Y'all, this is the last thing that I'm going to say, and then we're going to go to our coaching note and our affirmation for today. There are some things that you will repeat over and over only because you refuse to do it and deal with it in a virtuous way. See, the virtuous way is not always the easy way. Sometimes the virtuous way may be may pull you out of your comfort zone. It may cause you to have to put on some more strength, to put on, the old folks say, your big girl panties. You got, you have to change and deal with things in a more um stern, strict, and no nonsense way. But when you do that and you do it the virtuous way, you only have to do it once. You only have to do it once. Why? Because you do it right the first time. You do it right the first time. Okay. And we see people in our lives that go all around the mulberry bush, deal with stuff over and over and over. I told my daughter the other day, and y'all probably be like, prophets, I don't know why you said that. Child, I'm gonna say it because it's the truth. I told my daughter, all that back and forth, breaking up, coming back together, breaking up. Why did you break up? Because if you figure out why you broke up, and you know that why you broke up was the reason, and it was the right reason why you broke up, you don't go backwards in life because it keeps you behind. And so I just told her, I said, honey, once you break up, it's a done deal because you made the right decision the first time. So that means it's finished. It's like Jesus on the cross. It is finished. Mm-hmm. It's finished. It is finished. But when we go back and forth, ping pong, back and forth, seesaw, back and forth, it only keeps us behind schedule. Why did you do it? Did you do it right the first time? Did you If you did it right the first time, there's no need to retract. There's no need to go backwards. You did it right the first time. Why do we struggle with our decision and the way we do things when we do it right the first time? You shouldn't. You should not. You should not. Having a Bridgerton moment. You should not. Y'all know I have a sense of humor. I got that from my dad. All right. Today's affirmation is I am a virtuous influencer. I represent my husband with honor. This is for y'all married wives. Married wives. These are for the wives and also the women that desire to be married once or married or desire to be married again. You are to represent your husband with honor. Our blessings overflow because of my godly influence. I'm going to tell y'all this. Me and my husband had this conversation because I was telling him that I told the story about him moving to Laurel, Maryland when he took the job right before the pandemic because his job, you know, basically replaced all management. And so he was late. He wasn't laid off. He was fired. He was fired because the company sold to another company. And so my husband had never been out of work before. This was in 2019, and he decided to take a job. He pivoted. He had the mindset that he was not going to allow this opposition, this adversity to stop him from doing what he knew God had given him. So he pivoted. Okay, he forged around and ahead in spite of the adversity, and in spite of hardship. He forged around and ahead. That's what to pivot means. You have the mindset that you don't stare at a dead end because you become a dead end. Okay. Let's just get that little short lesson in, right? And so what he decided to do is move. And because I resisted, I wouldn't move. But I think it was all God because God did something in my husband while he was away. And then he did something in me because that's when I really went through a deep healing journey with God because I had all of this extra time to myself because my husband wasn't living with us. He was coming to see us every 2 weeks on the weekends only. And I was talking to him about, um, us at that point in our marriage. I said to him, he said, I could have had a job away from my family, but I always said that I didn't want to be away from my family. He said, when we were in Louisiana, I could have worked offshore because those were the quote unquote good jobs. Ty knows what I'm talking about. Tiff knows what I'm talking about. Those were the good jobs, working offshore, but you had to sacrifice by not being around your family. And he said, I never, wanted, that's why I never took a job offshore or even applied, because I knew I didn't want to be away from my family. He said, but at this point in our relationship, in our marriage, I knew that I had to do something different. I had to pivot. I had to change my mindset about, what that looked like. And so when my husband went to Laurel, Maryland to work in the DC area, and God put us both in a pivot. He put us both in this intervention. He put us both in a breakthrough season. We did not return to each other the same. Okay. And what happened was I discovered who I was. He discovered who he was. But God chose the time because he knew that my husband could trust me to not be out, to not carry myself like I wasn't a married woman. Now I'm finna talk to y'all for a minute. I'm finna talk to y'all for a minute. He could trust me at that juncture, at that season of our marriage. Now, maybe not before. Maybe before he might have been like, no, I don't know. you know, Not because I've done anything, because anybody that knows me knows, I know how to carry myself. But I think just in our marriage, she's like, I know my wife. My wife is not gonna, be out. She's gonna be with the kids. She's gonna be home. When I call her, she's gonna answer. That means a lot to a man if he's got to pivot in his job. You see what I'm saying? If he's got to pivot because his mama's sick and he's got to go home, over across states, that means something. He has to trust you to remain the prize even when you are not in his presence. And so you have to give people the comfort and the ability to know that if you are not in their presence, you steal the prize. You can conduct yourself with prudence. You know how to carry yourself because you are a virtuous woman, and you bring your husband honor whether you're in his presence or whether you're not in his presence. You honor your husband whether he's there or whether he's not there. You are his prize and his reward, and you walk in the community and um in public like you're his crown. You know, mm, y'all ain't going there. I ain't going there. Back down, Rashana, because I got a little prophetic rabbit trail I would go down, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Our blessings overflow because of my godly influence. When it's time, because the house takes on the spirit of the woman. When it's time to pray, I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes. And the woman knows it's time to pray. You need to pray. You need to say, honey, I know you got to go, but you got 5 minutes. When it's time to hold a family meeting, Am I right, women? You have the spirit of the house. You know when it's time to pray. You know when it's time to call a family meeting. You know when it's time to take the kids and do stuff with the kids. You know when it's time to save. Your husband may know too, right? So we're not going to discount the men or the male species, but you pick up the spirit and the necessity of what the house needs and the people in the house. When it's time to stop eating out, when it's time, listen, to, just do something different in the house, the woman understands the confines of the people in the house and what goes on in the house. She has a inside touch, an inside pulse on what's needed in the house and the people that live there. And so, we are the ones that says it's time It's time for us to go out as a family. It's time for us to sit at the table and talk and put the phones away as a family. It's time for us to go on vacation, even though we haven't in a while, as a family. It's time for us to save. It's time for us to talk about some hard decisions and some hard things. It's time. Okay. Yeah, it's time. It's time. Okay. Because the house takes on the spirit of the woman. Okay. And if the woman's sad, the house is sad. If the woman's joyful, the house is joyful. So women, be careful of, your emotions, because your house takes on your spirit. Because the outside of the house and taking care of the bills and stuff is the man's job. But the inside spirit, ooh, y'all, this is so, ooh, the spirit and the condition of the house, the emotional condition, the emotional temperature that the house takes on is a reflection of the woman's emotional state. Yeah. Yeah. We are managers. We know how to manage. We know how to multitask. We know how to get multiple things done at one time because we have been given the grace to do it. Now, a man, I ain't talking about him, but I'm just telling you honestly, they can't focus on but one thing at a time. Us, by the time that man do one thing, we done did like 5 things. And he looking like, how'd you get all that done? Because I'm graced to do it, because this is my lane. This is where God has graced me to thrive. Okay. This is what I've been given management of. Okay. So your wisdom note is, how can you use your positive influence to create change in the lives of others? How can you use your positive influence to create change in the lives of others? That's your wisdom note. So today, you guys, as we're getting off the broadcast today, this morning, I want you guys to put your takeaways in the comments. What stuck out to you today? What are you, taking away from the podcast this morning? What's your note that you're taking away? I want to read a couple and then we're going to get off. Any takeaways? Any takeaways? All right, Chanel says a virtuous way isn't always the easy way. It will bring you out of the comfort zone. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And when you do things the virtuous way, you only have to do it once. You need a nest to become better. Oh, that's so good, Kesia. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Know your nest. And it's okay for you to have more than one nest too. I wanted to mention that because I have a nest. My husband is a nest for me. He is. And then y'all that my friend, like, I have some friends that are nests for me. They just kind of let me just be, and they know not to take anything I say personally, because they be like, okay, she just venting right now, you know. But my spiritual mom is a nest, and I had to get to that nest this weekend. I had to get to that nest, and you know. A nest doesn't mean you live there, you're always around, but you know the value and the reward of having it. And when you need it, you run to it. Yeah, so you don't abuse a nest, and you don't use it on a daily basis, you know, not always. Sometimes you do have a daily nest, but of course God should be one of your nests. He should be that refuge, that strong tower, that fortress, um, that stronghold, because there are good strongholds. He should be your resting place. But when you need a physical person, you need other people in other places that create a nest for you to just be, for you to be accepted, for you to be valued, for you to be poured into, and to be restored and replenished. All right. Tanya says, once you walk away from the situation with reasonable cause, stop returning to what you left. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. If I left for a reason and the reason was good, there's no need to rethink my decision. If I left for a good reason, there's no reason to rethink my decision because I made the right choice the first time. It may be hard. So I am contemplating and I'm warring and I'm struggling with going back. But just because I feel like I want to go back doesn't mean I didn't make the right decision. Y'all, if I knew that as a young'un, whoo, child, the places I would be right now. Yeah, just because I feel the a trigger, I feel this nudge to go back doesn't mean I didn't make the right choice. And I think sometimes people emotionally focus and lean on their emotions too much, too much. They allow their emotions to lead them daily. So they're always on this roller coaster. And I always tell my husband and people that I know, when I see people that are on emotional roller coasters and, you know, they're, close or they're, in proximity to me, I'm like, I refuse to ride. I refuse to ride. I can see the roller coaster in your life. I refuse to ride. No, keep the ticket, child. I'm not riding because people that are emotional never get where they're supposed to be because they go back and forth and the scripture says, how long are you going to halt between two opinions? They never can be consistently grounded and rooted in a choice. And so they vacillate between one position and another, and they are conflicted and they allow themselves to live in chaos and conflict because they cannot stand true and stay rooted in a decision even though their emotions have not agreed with the decision yet. That's my takeaway. Your emotions don't have to agree with your decision for it to be the right choice. Yeah. Y'all, I feel like preaching now. Your emotions don't have to agree with your decision for that to be the right choice. They don't. Mm-mm, not at all. All right. I hope you carried something away. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to share it because if you care, you'll share. Okay. Help me share the podcast this morning by sharing it on your page or in your groups. And I will see you guys in the morning for day 13. I had to look, y'all. Day 13. I think we're going to have a guest on um, Friday, day 14. So y'all get ready. You'll be seeing who it is probably tomorrow. And then we'll have another guest. We're gonna have some guests like back to back next week. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Have a great hump day. Make it a great one. Um, Recognize your influence and in your value. Know your value, and also go where the love is. Don't be afraid to go to your nest. If you need to, sit in your nest and get there because the nest is going to help you reset, replenish, and pivot to the place where you need to be. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys in the morning for day 13. Bye bye.